It was 1991. I was actually writing another novel. I was writing a science fiction novel. Just one day, the first chapter of Game of Thrones came to me. The scene where they find the direwolf pups in the summer snows. That scene came to me, and I wrote it in like 3 days.
If you want to know about the success journey of George R.R. Martin, then this video is for you. We are going through his life, his career, and the inspirational stories of making Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. So, be with me. George Raymond Richard Martin was born on September 20, 1948 in Bayonne, New Jersey. His father, Raymond Collins Martin, was a longshoreman, and his mother, Margaret Brady Martin, came from a family that had lost its wealth during the Great Depression. Martin grew up in a federal housing project near the Bayonne docks, which fueled his imagination and desire to explore other worlds. From a young age, Martin was an avid reader and writer. He sold monster stories to neighborhood children for pennies and created elaborate tales about a kingdom populated by his pet turtles.
My school was on 5th Street. I walked to it, and that was, for all intents and purposes, that was my world. My world was 5 blocks long.
He attended Mary Jane Donohue School and Marist High School before earning a BS in journalism from Northwestern University in 1970, followed by an MS in journalism in 1971. Martin's first professional sale was a short story titled The Hero, published in Galaxy magazine in 1971. Throughout the 1970s, he wrote part-time while working various jobs, including as a Vista volunteer and a chess tournament director. He also taught journalism at Clark College in Dubuque, Iowa, from 1976 to 1978. In 1979, Martin became a full-time writer. He moved to Hollywood in the mid-1980s, where he worked as a story editor for The Twilight Zone, and later as an executive story consultant and producer for Beauty and the Beast. Despite his success in television, Martin found the constraints of the medium frustrating and longed to return to prose, where he could fully unleash his creativity.
I'm going to write a series of books here, a fantasy series that's just as big as my imagination. And no one will ever make this because it's going to be absolutely impossible to film this.
Take a moment to hit that like button and stay tuned as we are going to go through the stories of epic tales of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. In the early 1990s, Martin began working on what would become his magnum opus, A Song of Ice and Fire. The idea for the series came to him in 1991, inspired by a vivid scene of direwolf pups found in the snow. This scene became the first chapter of Game of Thrones, published in 1996. Martin's approach to writing the series was heavily influenced by his love for history and his desire to create a complex, morally ambiguous world. He drew inspirations from the Wars of the Roses, medieval history, and various mythologies. The series is known for its intricate plot lines, rich character development, and willingness to subvert traditional fantasy tropes. The success of the books led to the HBO adaptation Game of Thrones, which premiered in 2011 and became a global phenomenon. Martin was actively involved in the show, serving as a co-executive producer and writing several episodes. Martin has often drawn parallels between the events in his fictional world and real historical events. For House of the Dragon, he was particularly inspired by the period known as the Anarchy in English history. This was a civil war in the 12th century marked by a succession crisis following the death of King Henry I, who had no male heirs. His daughter Matilda was supposed to succeed him, but her cousin Stephen seized the throne, leading to a prolonged and bloody conflict. This historical backdrop provided a rich tapestry for Martin to weave the Targaryen civil war, known as the Dance of the Dragons, which is central to House of the Dragon. The story of House of the Dragon is based on Martin's book Fire and Blood, published in 2018. This book is a detailed history of the Targaryen dynasty, written in the style of a historical chronicle. Unlike the main A Song of Ice and Fire series, which is told from multiple character perspectives, Fire and Blood is presented as a scholarly work, recounting the events from the conquest of Westeros by Aegon the Conqueror to the regency of Aegon III. The idea for House of the Dragon came about as HBO sought to expand the Game of Thrones universe. Martin collaborated with Ryan Condal to develop the series, which was officially announced in October 2019. The show focuses on Targaryen family and the events leading up to and including the Dance of the Dragons, a brutal civil war that nearly tore the Targaryen dynasty apart. The HBO adaptation of A Song of Ice and Fire into Game of Thrones catapulted Martin into spotlight. The show became a cultural phenomenon, attracting millions of viewers worldwide and winning numerous awards. This widespread recognition brought Martin's work to a much larger audience, increasing book sales and expanding his fan base. Martin's involvement in the show as a co-executive producer earned him several prestigious awards, including 3 Emmy Awards for Outstanding Drama Series in 2015, 2016, and 2018. These accolades further solidified his reputation as a leading figure in the fantasy genre. The success of Game of Thrones opened up numerous opportunities for Martin. He became a sought-after figure in the entertainment industry, leading to various collaborations and projects. For instance, he contributed to the world building of the popular video game Elden Ring.
Flame of ambition. Someone must extinguish thy flame.
He continued to work on the long-awaited 6th book in the series, The Winds of Winter. George met Lisa Tettle at a convention in Dallas in the spring of 1973. The attraction between them was immediate and mutual, although both were involved with other people, so nothing developed right away. They started to correspond and visit each other, becoming collaborators and lovers. Martin felt a deep connection with Tettle and fell madly in love with her. However, in the spring of 1974, Tettle fell in love with someone else. Despite Martin's broken heart, they continued to correspond and collaborate. Martin has been married twice, first to Gail Bernick from 1975 to 1979, and then to Paris McBride in 2011. He resides in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where he is involved in local cultural projects, including the Jean Cocteau Cinema and the Meow Wolf Art Collective. George R.R. Martin's journey from a young boy with a vivid imagination to a world-renowned author and cultural icon is a testament to his talent, perseverance, and boundless creativity. His works continue to captivate millions of readers and viewers around the world, solidifying his legacy as one of the greatest storytellers of our time. I want to hear from you. What did you find most fascinating about George R.R. Martin's journey? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts, favorite moments, or any questions you have about his life and works. Let's start a conversation.